Screenless. Welcome to another Creative Cuppa. I hope you're doing okay and have a cuppa in hand. What is it today? Tea? Coffee? Something fruity? Gin? Let me know on the social media using @ScreenlessPod. It's the same on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Today's chat has a theme of variety. And variety is something I've chatted to my guests about before, and Kim was no exception. I personally tend to favour variety in my work, from writing music to picture, to creating audio idents and other bits for companies, to working with people on their podcasts. It's all sound, but it has variety. It's creatively satisfying for me. And as the amazing writer and teacher Kate Clanchy said in the very first episode of Creative Cuppa, all the different sides nourish each other, something that really resonated with me. I wonder what variety you encounter in your work. Do you like the variety? Or do you prefer focusing on a single thing and carving out a niche for yourself? Let me know on the social media. Either way, settle in for the next 11 minutes and 22 seconds and listen to Kim Sheehan share her thoughts and experiences. Enjoy. Kim Sheehan, opera soprano, contemporary singer. Welcome to Creative Cuppa.
Thanks, Gareth. I'm delighted to be here.
You're very welcome. You've said before that you didn't set out to be an opera singer. So how then would you say you found your voice?
That's a really beautiful question because it's what defines me as an artist at the moment, because early in my life, when I discovered I could sing was when I had a piano lesson and I absolutely hated it. And she said, well, look, I can't keep teaching her piano, but I think she can sing. And so I discovered that I could sing there and then. And for me, it was a complete eye-opener. It became kind of like my superpower.
Oh, wow.
Because I would sing everywhere. I'd sing in the shops. I'd sing at home, in the shower, in the garden, walking to school. So it just became kind of like part of my journey kind of as a teenager, my discovery. And it gave me a lot of strength to know that I kind of had this, like, as I said, superpower that I could kind of like lean in on whenever I needed to. And it just gave me a strength and a feeling of belonging, a feeling of purpose, and it kind of rose above any other kind of troubles I had when I was a teenager.
Wow. Yeah, it's quite empowering. What kind of songs were you singing? I mean, obviously you wouldn't be singing opera in the shower at that point. What kind of things were you constantly singing?
Well, I sang a lot of Joni Mitchell. I listened to a lot of Mariah Carey, surprisingly enough, because I was just so interested in her vocal range, because I had the same range.
Wow, that's some range, isn't it?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Freddie Mercury, like anyone who was just a great vocalist and lyricist was what I was kind of interested in. I didn't really mind what kind of genre they came from or what era they came from. Ella Fitzgerald, Peggy Lee, how they played with their voices, but almost always the singers that I was interested in kind of imitating almost when you're a teenager, as you do, were the singers who I thought had, I didn't realize it at the time, but they had like a classical kind of background.
Yeah.
It wasn't a specific type of singing that kids learn right now when they go to certain schools. But you could definitely hear that there was technique. And yes, I think that was what I kind of hung on to, and that was what I would like recreate. And I liked musical theatre a lot as well, even though I didn't sing it myself.
There's a little connection there to opera, I suppose.
Yeah.
Your preparation training, that's been well documented. It led you to the Royal Opera House in Covent Garden, an amazing building. What did it feel like to walk out on that stage for the very first time?
Well, it was actually an interesting show because I was actually singing from the pit because it was with a ballet.
Oh.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
It was the premiere of Jonathan Dove's Diana and Actaeon, a part of Metamorphosis that was at the Opera House. So, which was even more interesting, singing from the pit.
Yeah.
Because I was surrounded by all these extraordinarily loud instruments and I was in with the wind. in with the wind instruments. However, I did get to walk out on stage at the end of the performances, and it was electrifying because all the energy from the dancers were still on the stage, and you can see all the bits of dust still floating around the air. So that was really quite beautiful, because you don't get that in opera. It's always it's a different energy. So and just to walk out and hear people clapping and look at the audience, and it was very special. Yeah, very special.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, for listeners, you can go to, we'll talk about your website where you can go and see and hear performances and things like that. But when I did look at your website, I noticed another side, the contemporary singing side. And on YouTube, there's a video for the Cork Midsummer Festival for All That Is Sound. And it shows a very different side to your music, very still and meditative. And as a composer, I found that video really fascinating. You're kind of composing on the spot. How did you go about crafting that sound?
That sound is, that sound's based on kind of everything I am believing in at the moment. I study yogic philosophy, meditation, but not only that, all the techniques that I've learned through studying opera. And I'm not talking about the techniques that you use when you're on the stage. I'm talking about the practice room techniques, the stuff that people don't see, all the different exercises that we do, like Scalig, tilt, yodel, and how they're used internally to kind of go inside and pull something out that's completely unique to you. Whereas when you're singing opera, you're creating a character that has been written and created not for you, and there's a conductor in the room and there's an orchestra, and everything is very much out of your control, yet you're in the driving seat, but it's out of your control. Whereas with the project that I'm working on right now, I would say that it is just the essence of me at this moment in time, after having had this journey into opera and the journey out of it. And as well as that, it's definitely a study of linguistics, kind of married with the philosophy of sound. Yeah.
I encourage people to put the link to that video in the show notes so people can go and see it, because it's very different to, you wouldn't automatically think it was the same person singing almost, because your opera style and your contemporary singing style quite different. You've talked about also in other interviews about rejection and how that motivates you. And that's quite an empowering attitude to have. Can you kind of tell us about that and perhaps moments where you have had to motivate yourself from rejection?
Yeah, so, rejection is probably a large part of any artist's kind of life. But you have to keep on going, and you have to stay focused on your purpose, on your ambition, and on what it is that you want to create, the message that you want to put across. And even in the opera career, I had rejection, but I also had a lot of I also had a lot of acceptance, had a lot of job offers. And it's every time you get one of those job offers, it's like you take that moment and you build on it and you don't let it go. And then when the rejection comes in, it's okay. I've held on to this now, and I know what it feels like to be successful in getting one step closer to what I want. And rejection is very difficult. Of course. And I've had some big rejections, but like I've also had some big job offers. So it's very difficult. And even now with pushing forward with this new project, there's definitely rejections there as well. But I'm even more, I think my belief in the project is even stronger than it would be in my opera career, because there's so many other factors in opera career as to why you don't get a job.
Yeah.
Whereas with this contemporary project that I'm working on, I think I just believe in it so much that I know that when the time is right, the right things will happen. And I just need to keep writing great music and keep coming up with good ideas and feeling impassioned when I'm in the recording studio. And then just not getting something doesn't even matter, because something will come along. And actually that was something my mother always instilled in me. She said, just get out there and get yourself a job if you need a job. And she she said, just push the rejection aside. That's just one person's opinion in it. You know, there are millions of people in the world. So
yeah, I think that's great advice. Certainly, I would give that advice to a younger me. You know, and very often in what I do with soundtracks, so you're essentially telling someone else's story. So it's about the fit, isn't it? Is what I'm doing going to complement what they're doing? And, you know, am I helping to tell their story, or is it just not a good fit? Half the time it's about that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than just trying to force something that's not going to work.
Yeah, and even when you do have a job that you really are so grateful for having, and then it really isn't a good fit, and you have to struggle through it and get from A to Z, and keep your cool and stay creative and stay open, and that's a real challenge for a lot of artists, and you just have to forge ahead really and believe in what you're doing.
Yeah, that's amazing. So where can people find you online and your music and you and everything?
Well, at the moment, I'm still kind of a little bit underground because we've recorded the entire album during the lockdown period, and it's in the edit. There's still a couple of vocals still to add, but as a whole, it's there already.
So this is All That Is Sound.
This is the
album.
All That Is Sound album, which is going to be.
Fantastic.
I don't know when it's coming out. I'm not rushing with it because I just think that it's actually really good, and I think that it will suit the time whenever it's released. But it's definitely going to be going ahead as a live performance at the Cork Midsummer Festival next year. And I'll also take it to Dublin to the Project Arts Centre there as well. So they're getting involved, and they love the project based on the video that I made at home for the Midsummer Moments. So, and I have a couple of extracts on my website, but that's it for now. I'm just kind of keeping it low profile. I'm doing a bit of writing. I'll be putting out a blog just to kind of go alongside with that. But, you know, I'll be making a couple more videos, the same as that one, and you know, I've got 2 small children at home, so they kind of dictate my output, shall I say. But
fantastic.
Yeah, that's it. What I would say is just keep an eye out and follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and stuff will kind of gradually filter through as we get news of whether anyone's interested in signing up the album or not. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I'll put those links in the show notes too. And then we can share and like and get people interested in your fantastic All That Is Sound at Sound. Really looking forward to that. But for now, Kim Sheehan, thank you so much for joining me for a cuppa.
Thanks, Gareth.
Thanks again to Kim for her time. I'm looking forward to hearing her album when she releases it. If you click on the All About Sound link in the show notes in your app, you'll be able to see and hear that video from the Cork Midsummer Festival from June 2020. You can find other links to her work in the show notes too. And if you enjoyed this episode, please consider giving Creative Cuppa a 5-star rating and some kind words. It's a great way of helping a podcast with zero budget. You can find out how to do that at creativecuppa.uk. And of course, if you are liking what you are hearing, please tell a friend and help to spread the word. Until next time, have a great week.